Welcome to my channel, where there are interesting and equally sensational stories. Listen to today's story. The guy you cheated with cheated on you? We had just bought our first house together and had frozen the embryos for our future children at her insistence. She never stopped saying how much she loved me and how lucky she was. I did the same. Adored that woman. Then, suddenly, I wasn't enough for her. And she insisted on a divorce, saying she didn't want to be monogamous anymore. I came to find out soon after that she was having an affair with a coworker. I came across their messenger chat and saw all the horrible things she said about me and how excited she was to be about it all. This was the complete opposite of the person she'd be around me. Reading that stuff was probably the most traumatic moment of my life at that point. Seeing betrayal from the only partner I'd ever loved still hurts to the core. I came to find out by accident 2 years later that she was still with the guy, and they bought a house together. We had to sell ours since neither of us could afford it on our own. I also found out the guy was 10 years older than her, thrice divorced, and according to one of his exes, a serial cheater and physically abusive. But of course, I couldn't say anything because it wasn't my place at that point. We were divorced now, and our embryos were thrown away. We had names picked out and everything. I still feel sick when I see couples that look like we did with their kids. Then recently, a friend shared a screen cap from her Instagram. She was calling out the guy for cheating on her with multiple women. She apparently deleted it quickly, but it was cathartic to see her get to feel what I felt. It must have been pretty bad because she was never the kind of person to go on blast like that. Who would have thought a guy like that would turn out to be his comeback cheater? Most people don't know that he was a guy who convinced her to leave me. They just offered their support and told her how amazing she was despite what that mean guy did to her. Makes me feel ill. Our first reaction comes from Chunks Empire. 2 things. 1. Trashy people make classy people trashy. It never really works the other way around. 2. Cheaters are fake liars. That's what they do. I don't care what type of cheater, how long they've been married, male, female, tall, short, or what race they are. They all lie. Come home to their significant others and act like everything is wonderful. That is fake. Even if there is guilt in an eventual confession or an immediate confession, they still broke vows. It's who they are. CA Girl 17 says, I think this is actually pretty common. If you are hooking up with someone who you know is in a committed relationship, then I think that says something about your character. If you're willing to date someone who you know cheated on their partner multiple times, I think that also is red flag. Kind of shows that you're okay with this behavior in a way. It would be different if the affair partner didn't know, of course. Our next thought comes from As Above So Below 4. I can kind of relate to that small glimpse of how did it feel, not exactly the same, but my ex was my high school sweetheart. Together from 15 to 31, originally, I was suspicious of one particular coworker. And it took a long time to get proof. When I did, I was suspecting he was ending it with her and starting with a new coworker. I was right. And I found a few other things from before he started the affair with the original coworker. Their affair lasted 2.5 years. It started slow, so it did take me a while to catch on and become suspicious. So that was the first time we split up. I was pregnant with our third. We tried again when she was 5 months old. A medical emergency for me and a sob story from him on top of my guilt I had about having a new baby and her dad not there is why I caved and tried again. Lasted 3 months before I found out he had never stopped and found way more evidence going back most of our relationship. That was it for me. We haven't been together since. That was over 2 years ago. But at the time, he just moved next door because he was friends with the neighbor, so that was awkward. And now to the point, our pharmacist started coming by almost daily, at least every other day. And I checked our call log since he was still on my phone plan. They talked all day long. I knew it meant he was seeing her, which I just thought he was so crappy. 1. Because he was doing this where I had to watch her coming and going every day. And 2. Yep, you guessed it. She was married. So not only did he ruin ours, he doesn't care about others either. He kept lying, saying they were just friends, and she was trying to help him through his tough time. Versus. Eventually, she found out I was upset about the fact he was parading her in and out and was being told they were just friends. She apparently thought I knew and was okay with it since I ended things. But, I mean, come on. It's still disrespectful, and she decided to knock on my door and confess it all. So a few weeks later, he asked me if I had sent the letter to her husband outing them. It was a handwritten letter telling him all about their affair. I was like, well, you know, I considered it, but unfortunately, it looks like someone beat me to it. So, no, I did not. And he let it go. I didn't find out until later that he had sent her husband the letter. Apparently, he was so upset that she wouldn't leave her husband for him, that he thought if he sent the letter with a bunch of details and telling him what to look for in her phone, etc., that her husband would be so mad he would just leave her right then. And then she would have no choice but to be with him. Joke's on him, though. They decided to work through it, and she blocked her on everything so she could focus on her husband. I didn't find out until after this had all happened. So at the time, he had just told me they ended things amicably because he decided it was wrong to continue doing this and ruining their marriage after what he did to ours. So when I found out the truth, I couldn't help but feel slightly happy that he got a taste of his own medicine. All the girls who expected him to leave me because he kept stringing them along until they ended up heartbroken and finding out at least a little bit of how I felt, but on a much smaller scale. But it was short-lived because it still pained me that not only did he have no concern for a marriage, he was out there ruining other marriages too. Unfortunately, it was not the last time I found out he was messing with people who are either married or engaged. I'm so sorry you had to go through this. No one deserves it, but it does get easier as time goes on. You never forget, but you do learn to put it in the past and move forward. I think the hardest part for me was that our entire relationship, every time a female relative or friend would come to us because they were cheated on, he would sit and tell them how amazing they are, and they don't deserve this. How they could do so much better and deserve to have someone there who loved them and wouldn't hurt them. I mean, to the extent of starting stuff with the guys, sometimes because of how they hurt these girls. Then to find out later, he cheated pretty much the entire relationship made me feel so worthless. Like, so I wasn't amazing, I didn't deserve someone who loved me and didn't want to hurt me. I wasn't worth someone choosing me and being faithful to me. Why? What is so wrong with me? Took me a long time to get past that part and figure out that I wasn't worthless and that this was a problem with him, not me. So help you find peace and happiness and everything you deserve. We just have to keep taking things one day at a time. Sorry for the novel. Moving on, but the hell is cuddling? First things first, I, female 28, left my husband, male 30, of almost 7 years a little less than a month ago. He cheated on me with a very close mutual friend of ours. My decision to leave is final. He knew from the beginning that infidelity was an absolute deal-breaker. Hasn't stopped him from groveling and begging me to come back. He wanted to open our relationship with this person for a while, and my answer was always no. About a year ago, he let me know they revealed they had a crush on each other. I thought it was innocent enough, but then he started spending more time texting her than speaking with me. He would ask specifics: if they could have casual sex, if they could kiss, if they could exchange nudes. I had no reason to distrust him at the point in time. We had an incredible loving relationship. He had just happened to have a higher sex drive than me. I said no to all of those things. But feeling extremely emotionally distraught and wanting to make him happy, I finally relented. He asked if they could hug, and I said, of course, you can hug your friends. You can even cuddle if you want. So here's the question that's been bothering me. What the hell does cuddling mean to everyone else? To me, a demisexual person, Cuddling is what you do with your child or pet. It's leaning your head on a friend's shoulder while you watch a movie. It's platonic, affectionate touch for the sake of touch. I think it's a welcome and special thing between friends. Well, this is not how they interpreted it. The physical aspect of the relationship is what I found out about last month. They didn't go all the way, but it certainly wasn't resting heads on shoulders. My other friends knew about this, but were told that it was ethical non-monogamy. Here's some things I've been told. You were okay with it? They told me you gave them permission to cuddle. If it were me, I also would have expected a cuddle arrangement to go the direction that it did. Oh, no. Yeah. That's what cuddling means to me too. Did I miss something? Did I consent my life away because I have the wrong definition of this word? Which other people think that means? I didn't think it was something I had to be specific about. In either case, newts were sent. Kisses were had. Every boundary was broken, even without my misunderstanding of this word, and neither of them told me about it for an entire year. Eventually found out through one of those friends. There's no fixing either relationship and no desire to, but boy, this is eating at me, along with 1,000 other things. Edit. Thank you all. It seems like a lot of people agreed that it's basically more intimate than hugging. Yet you guys say you still would not let your partner do that with anyone else. Well, don't I feel dumb? To be fair, I allowed it after a month or more of gaslighting and emotional bludgeoning. So I won't be too hard on myself, but it's certainly not a mistake I'll be making in the next relationship. Edit 2. Demisexual means that I only experience sexual desire if I already have a deep emotional connection to someone. I've only felt it with 3 people ever. It's not a huge part of my identity, but the word is relatively accurate, so I use it for simplicity. This whole situation made it very obvious that I do not see things the way most people do, probably feeding into my gullibility. Joke's on me, we have a reaction from Little Nipple. Cuddling and sitting close to someone, resting heads against each other, either on the shoulder or even the chest. But that one is a little more intimate and shouldn't be done with a friend, even linking arms. Both clothes are on. No kissing, no fondling, no oral sex, no feeling up, no anything other than the above, and nudes aren't cuddling. Toss them both in the bin where they belong. His blatant disrespect of you for this girl should have been nipped in the butt from the get-go. He was telling you what he wanted and never wavered. Sadly, it was going to happen. He was just hoping you'd give him permission so he could ease his guilt. Because he knew he wouldn't stop, and you didn't give him an incentive not to. Not blaming you at all. He wore you down, but he should have been given his walking papers when he first started this crap. Now that you've done it, stand strong, file the papers and let her happen. They deserve each other. I'd also consider ditching these friends, sorry, but if I saw this, I'd be telling the other spouse, especially if I have never heard them talk about having an open relationship before. Those friends wanted to believe the easy story so they didn't have to face the hard one. Their silence was their acceptance. The op responds, you're absolutely right. I could have saved myself a lot of pain, but I was totally taken off guard. It didn't feel real. Love is a hell of a drug. Told him I was leaving after a month, that emotional fair crap last year, and he said he was sorry and would stop immediately. Our relationship did improve, so I thought he meant it. Little did I know, it was physical the whole time. It didn't stop after that. Whoopsie. The friends I am taking needed space from and very careful consideration going ahead. Username 19611691 says cuddling to me means hugging. I would never have given my partner permission to cuddle with someone else. It is an intimate action. One more comment from Minutebox 3852. He constantly pushed your boundaries because he was confident he could wear you down. They both chose to manipulate until they got what they wanted. Neither of them were good. Honest people, stuff allowing him headspace. He played games of Lost. The audacity of him to continuously push for her to enter into your relationship. That's not love, that's selfishness and heartless. Let them have each other. It will not last if it's even still going on. I highly doubt it, at least not happily.